This is going to be a video specifically for ambitious lightworkers and new paradigm leaders who feel a calling to scale big in their business. And so in the title, I talk about how there is this piece that is missed out of mainstream manifestation topics. And so this is something I see especially for lightworkers and leaders who are jumping into their businesses. Missing this piece is what holds not only a lot of people back, but it's something that kind of gets lost in people's journeys until they get to a certain point and learn how to master it. And so what I'm talking about is the fact that when you are manifesting income and impact in your soul business, it means that there is going to be a storm that leads you there. There's going to be a storm that prepares you. And a lot of times what happens is we see all this marketing that's like, do this and then this result and this result. And sometimes it's easy to let go of these details and not know how to work it in. We're working with a platform with limited messaging, and a lot of times we do want to focus on the results that the people get from these things. But then what happens is, especially when people are jumping in or as they're going to scale big, they feel all this resistance in their body. They maybe have universal things that are happening that are really triggering. And the thing is, when you harness this is actually your superpower, because the storm moments that come in aren't here to punish you. The universe is not punishing you. The universe is not mad at you. There's nothing going wrong. There's nothing wrong with your craft. These challenges and storms are here to prepare you. And the thing is, your thoughts and inner dialogue about these moments are what's going to be make it or break it for that. So if you're having dialogue that tells you everything's going wrong, the universe is against you, your brain is going to spiral you into ways to let the storm spiral you and go outside the hurricane rather than being in the eye of the storm and moving with the storm. Finding the peace and calm in the storm. And this isn't to say that these aren't challenging. It's not to say that the emotions that come up aren't valid. And it's also not to say that you should ignore and everything is perfect. In fact, if you've been in my world, that's actually the opposite of what I say. I'm huge in embodiment. I'm huge for feeling your feelings. And in fact, these storm moments are a time to surrender into your feelings, because it's literally energetically in your body calibrating you to the intention that you put in to the universe. So if you're someone who knows you're supposed to scale a 7-figure business and you're like, 7 figures, we're going, let's go. And I've even seen clients do this. When they go to just jump right into their businesses, they're like, 7 figures, I'm going. I'm like, I fucking love that. But when you're putting these intentions in, the things are going to happen that get this crud out of you. And so this is really, really important topic to talk about, because I'm here today to tell you how you're going to master the storm. And I'm talking about this deeper in the Empress of the Storm workshop, which is starting this Thursday. So if you're seeing this video as it's posted, you're in luck. I'm going to go way deeper, and I'm actually going to do tangible exercises that help you to get these outcomes within the storm. So today we're going to be talking more about the pieces of and topics of those who do thrive in the storm, and just in general, how you can start to kind of harness this energy, and just talking about this concept in general. So when these storms come, again, especially if you're someone who's been through a lot of trauma, they're gonna dig it up. They're gonna move it. And so if you're feeling an intensity right now, this is actually not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that you're being cleared. It's a sign. It's almost, I think of it too as the storm clearing a pathway and clearing all the old debris. And so that's because you need to clear these things, and manifestation works in a sense of who you're being and the version of you that you are, rather than just giving you the clients and the things. You're still going to have to go do all the actions. And I actually noticed months when my income dips, or, before I learned the Empress of the Storm and my income would dip, I should say, it was because I wasn't keeping up with all my tasks, because I was letting all these triggering moments hold me back. And so if this sounds like you, it's time to listen to this next piece. So the difference between someone who is empowered in the storm and the Empress of the Storm and the Eye of the Storm, and someone who maybe is not quite feeling that and is essentially delaying their thriving era. So if you're feeling these, it's not that, oh my gosh, you're doomed. That is never something I would say. This is more of a sense of, okay, this is putting off your thriving era that's waiting for you. And just so you guys know too, this is all rooted in soulmate clients. So when you're speaking to your right audience, your soulmate audience, and knowing the messaging to attract them, this is when this all comes into place. So if you aren't sure what that is, check out my other videos. I have so much on soulmate clients, and that's a lot of what I teach. But so someone who is disempowered in the storm and putting themselves in loops, that is essentially someone who feels like they want to rant about what's going wrong. They just want to like go off on this thing. They're kind of mad, they're frustrated. And this is really common, especially for people who feel kind of cornered to move into their business. There's almost this resentment towards the universe and resentment towards what it is they feel like they have to do, even though it is pushing you to what you enjoy more. And as someone who's moved through this too, the farther you go, the more this goes away, the more you learn to enjoy the ride. That being said, someone who is kind of in this loop is going to be wanting to rant. They're going to be hiding. They're going to be feeling their emotions, but they maybe also let themselves get a little lost in it. A lot of times too, I'll see people say, okay, now I need a break. I need like 2 to 3 weeks off. And I think we need to listen to our bodies. And if that's like what we're feeling called and you feel supported in a sense, it is good to take some time. I'm never here to tell you not to, but I notice people who will let it kind of like intermittently put them in breaks, and then they kind of go back and forth. And so it's like you're building all this momentum, and this is actually your gateway moment. The storm's the gateway. And then, they kind of take a break, and then the momentum all stops, and they almost have to push it back up the hill. So if you're finding that these storm moments cause you to go on and off, this is just slowing the momentum. The thought loops that may come up, and the people that feel in this loop, the thought loops start going to why everything is wrong and why they are actually not destined for all these things and why things aren't going to work out. And if you allow yourself to get caught in the loop rather than being able to view the loop objectively and be able to reprogram this is actually literally what's coming up to be in between. But I notice a lot of people get really caught in that loop instead of moving it. And the minute you move it, a lot shifts. But so if you're someone who is finding yourself in these storm moments, listing all the reasons this isn't going to work, rather than looking for the magic and all the reasons it is working and why things are working in your favor, this is also something that keeps you in the loop. And another thing is, again, when people are in this loop, they're not looking for what is shifting for them. They are looking for what's not working for them. So when you're stuck in this, instead of looking for opportunities to get you out or learning the lessons, and this is the other piece, if you're not trying to just sink in and surrender and learn the lessons that you need to learn, and you're kind of fighting a ton against it, you need to kind of still push forward and do daily actionables. I always tell people posting daily, selling daily, all these types of things. If you're not necessarily keeping up with these, it's like you're figuratively putting in the towel. It's like you're almost accidentally turning the lights off in your business. And so this is a really important piece to take note of, because if you're doing any of these, you're literally just delaying your success. The difference between someone who thrives in the storm and someone who's like being washed around, again, with no shame, if you're someone who's feeling washed around, you're on this video for a reason. The difference between someone who's thriving is that they actually get to these moments and they feel all the feelings. They might feel some of that anger still of like, damn, this is hard and I didn't even see this coming. But instead, they look for the opportunities. They look for the lessons. They take this as a moment to reprogram. They also take this as a moment to maybe take a breather while they let their body rest, like listening to natural rhythm, but they still post. They still do the things, even if their brain is telling them, oh my God. And so someone who thrives in the storm is someone who is able to objectively see what's going on, is able to step outside their little human suit for just a moment, let that little human suit do its little thing and like freak out, whatever. They're able to step outside and notice it objectively from the back. I don't know if you guys can hear, but my cats are meowing like crazy. So they are totally in on this with us. So that being said, someone who thrives in the storm is someone who looks at this as evidence that things are happening. They're not afraid to dive deep for that moment in time, knowing that the storms are only going to happen when they have the capacity to move these things. Knowing that they are literally getting paid to evolve in this way as intuitives and lightworkers and leaders. You're getting paid to evolve. So this is your moment to rewrite this story and not let it be a reason for you slowing down. And so I have had moments. And just for some context, I should have told this more at the beginning of the video. Just for some context on my story, I have been in my business for just over 2 years, and I have already scaled to about six figures in income in my soul business in under 2 years. And I jumped in with no skills, not even knowing how to do my readings. And so I literally just jumped in with no prior experience. And so I've really started from the ground up. And my business was making about $1,000 a month for probably over a year. And I was doing intuitive readings. I started getting nudges around soulmate clients, and this is kind of how I created my methodology. When I went through these moments, I realized that we all have a soul audience that we're meant to tap into. And I've tapped dozens of clients into this and helped them explode their business into 5-figure months and even 5-figure weeks. And so I had a period of time in my business where I exploded from the 1K months. I had sunk into my soul audience, and then things started to calibrate. Every intention that I put into the universe in terms of impact and income started to come to fruition. I had multiple 5K months, and then I exploded overnight into 20K months, and then into a 40K month, and now I've been kind of around 20 to 15K months, and even kind of up into almost 30. So that being said, when I hit these income amounts, there would oftentimes be the most wild things that would happen that wanted me to believe this wasn't going to happen. Some of my 20K months happened in the last 2 months of the month. So sometimes when I was like, I feel it in my heart, I feel it in my bones, that I was feeling a 20K a month, and then all the evidence was showing otherwise. But I held the faith. I kept doing the actions. I kept tapping in, okay, what kind of things should I be doing to call in these people, because your divine guidance knows. And then I would do those things, and then these things would come to fruition. And it's almost on the dot. It's usually 1,000 to 2,000 above or below. And so this path, there's an immense amount of faith. And the more that you can tap into the storms actually being a good sign from the universe rather than a reason to stop. This is why so many people stop. This is why not a lot of people have online businesses. You know, if you're in this world, you're seeing a lot of people moving this way, but you are like one in millions that are doing this. And so this is why people stop. Because if you don't trust your internal guidance system enough to guide you, and you start to look at these storm moments as like, oh no, I guess I'm not supposed to go this way. Maybe it's a sign it's wrong. This is actually your path. Because when you're actually on your highest path, especially, you're going to be challenged even more because you're being prepared. And so there's a stark difference between your intuition being off on something, and a lot of times the storm will guide you there, but it's going to guide you forward. It's just going to guide you to the things that need to move. And there's going to be a very big difference between, oh my gosh, I need to stop this, rather than, okay, this is actually just redirecting me in the way that I move. So that being said, when you become the Empress of the storm, a lot of this fades away. And this is something that I notice, like all my clients that pop off, they are able to navigate the storm. So you learning to navigate the storm is your duty as a leader. It is your duty to learn how to navigate this. Because if you don't know how to navigate this, you are leaving a gap wide open. And it's so funny. I have a circle right now. It's going to be full screen, but right now I see a circle and I'm like, you're going to leave a giant gap. It's as big as this circle that I'm seeing right now. Because right now, if you aren't navigating it in this way, you do have a giant gap in your business. And this is why your income isn't scaling into 5 figures and beyond. You're destined to. It's happening. But when you close these gaps is when it's going to really happen. So if you watch to the end, Empress of the Storm is on Thursday. If you're watching this back, this may be a master or a workshop that's passed, and it's not going to be something available live. But that being said, tons of other resources for you to tap into your soul audience, and tons of other resources to kind of navigate your metamorphosis, because this is metamorphosis. This is the metamorphosis community. Your metamorphosis will happen in these storms, and this is what is literally destined. So I love you guys, and become the Empress of the Storm, baby.